You need compassion for the parts of you that are afraid to change. And at the end of this video, we're going to do a short meditation to practice having compassion for yourself. But before we dive into that, I wanted to say that this is the third video in a series on self-esteem and creating change in your life. And so if you haven't watched the first two, I would really recommend that you go back and do that. And the first video is about your feelings matter. Your feelings, your emotions let you know about your needs. And not meeting your needs is a big component of low self-esteem. The second video was about, what stops you once you identify that you have a need, what keeps you from getting that need met? And I taught two important questions to ask. The first one being, what is this intent behind this behavior? How is this part of you that's afraid to change trying to help you? And the second question to ask is, what are you afraid will happen if you don't do that, whatever, not speaking up, or if you don't procrastinate in some way, or whatever behavior it is that you would like to change. And so this third video is really the essential component of how to practice compassion and what to do when it's hard to be compassionate. So I'm Amy Rose, and I have a holistic counseling and consulting practice in Florida. And maybe you're listening to this and thinking, well, if I have a part of me that's afraid to change, I need discipline and willpower and focus. And all of those are important attributes, but I can promise you that any sustainable, lasting change in your life is always started by planting seeds of compassion for yourself first. Before we start the meditation, I want to explain to you why compassion is so essential. And here is something that I see happen almost every day. And maybe it happened to you when you were a child. So you'll see a little kiddo who's like, I'm scared, I'm scared. And well-meaning parents or caregivers will say, well, you don't have to be scared. There's nothing wrong here. And they don't mean to, but they're actually being dismissive to this little being who's afraid. And when we feel emotionally afraid and unsafe, we don't respond well to very cognitive messages like that. First, a caregiver or a parent needs to soothe that little being and say, come here, sweetheart, I can tell you're afraid, and comfort them. Using our regulated nervous system, we can soothe and comfort that little kiddo. Then we might be able to explore, now once they feel safe, well, let's talk about this. Why is it so scary? I wonder if we could make it feel less scary. And then that sort of cognitive work will be effective. And the same is true for us. When we have scared parts inside of us, they don't respond well to suck it up, just do it, have some willpower. That actually makes them feel kind of worse and maybe ashamed. So first we have to meet the part of us that's afraid with compassion. That opens the door. That helps us soften a little. Because when we're afraid, we're resistant and we don't want to move forward. So let's begin to do this meditation on being compassionate for yourself. And in the last video, you identified a particular part of you that you would like to work with, right? So kind of pull that up in your mind or go back and watch the videos again. And then we're gonna close our eyes. But if you're not comfortable closing your eyes, you could just look at a beautiful picture, soften your gaze, or you could just sketch on a piece of paper this part of you, however you would describe it, and it's just a little stick figure. And then you can look at that part when we're sending compassion. Okay? So just a little warning, this is often what happens when we start to extend compassion to ourselves, another part of us steps up and says, I don't want to be compassionate or nice to that part. They might get worse. It might stay stuck forever. It might think it's okay to procrastinate or not speak up. So if that happens, don't panic. And you can actually have compassion for this part of you that wants to defend you and say, no, I want you to change. Whatever happens, this is a really good inner exercise to explore, because if resistance comes up, that's gold as far as I'm concerned. That's helping you see what happens when I try and make some change. Okay? So don't worry, this is just the beginning. And like anything else, we have to practice at it to get better, right? Okay. So get comfortable. Just close your eyes. And we'll just start by taking a few breaths. So inhaling in and exhaling out. Inhaling in, exhaling out. One more breath in. And this time when you exhale, slow it down and just sink into whatever you're sitting on and let it hold you up a bit. And just keep inhaling in, slowing your exhale down, sinking deeper into your body. And the next time you finish inhaling, slow your exhale and imagine there are roots coming from the bottom of your spine, just gently pushing down far and wide, deep, deep, deep into the earth. And then from this more rooted place, we're just going to invite you to think about this part of you that you've identified as afraid of change. And see if you can notice this part with some curiosity and some compassion. And you've identified what it's doing, why it's doing it, and what it's afraid will happen if it doesn't do that. So see if you can extend this really gentle, warm recognition to this part of you. We get what it's doing, and just let it know it's welcome. And from this part of you that can be aware of being aware, see if you can notice with curiosity and compassion. And can you extend that energy to this part? And just notice what it's like, what your body experiences if this part of you is allowed to rest in this compassion. And if you can rest in this compassion, just soak this part of you for a few more minutes. And if for some reason you can extend compassion, just notice what might be happening. Maybe you blanked out, or you can't focus. Or maybe there's a part of you that doesn't want this other part to get compassion and is stepping up. And if so, just notice that part with curiosity and sort of see what it has to say. See if you can listen to that with respect and curiosity. Because we're just exploring the world inside of you. So let's just take another breath or two. And just as you exhale, slow your exhale down. And then when you're ready, you can just return your attention to the here and now and open your eyes and come back into the room. Maybe just look around, see if your neck needs to stretch a little. And well done. That was a really good first step, okay? And I would be so curious, what was that like for you? Why don't you post in the comments? Were you able to sort of see that part of you or experience it and send some compassion to it? Or was that difficult? And remember, if it was, that's still really helpful information. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, click on the subscribe button to delight the world. And please remember that some days we can offer the light and compassion to the world. Some days we just need to receive compassion and light from the world. And wherever you are in your journey of being the light, you are always welcome to connect here at Delight the World.